All right, all right, all right. It is that day again. It is Wednesday at 7 p.m. and here we are, committed and loyal to bringing you some amazing information to empower your life. You are now tuning in to Empowered with Shronda, where we are talking about how you can empower yourself, mind, body, and spirit. And of course, in season 2, we are talking about nothing but exactly how you can be your own level up. You guys know exactly who I am. I am your amazing host, Shronda McDaniel. Definitely blessed, definitely honored, and definitely overjoyed to be here to talk to you on tonight. It has been a journey. Time is absolutely flying past. And so let's make sure we catch up before we jump in today's episode. If this is your first time tuning in, or you haven't already done so, please make sure to go and like Droppin Knowledge Network that is found here on Facebook, because it is an amazing network of a series of different podcasts delivered and especially catered for you to take your life to the next level by enhancing yourself and empowering yourself with the information and tools that you need to go out there and make life great. I am not going to do too much talking because you know we always run out of time when we're talking to our guests. And so I'm excited tonight to have an amazing young lady come up. I'm not going to tell you too much about her, but she is an author. She is an entrepreneur. She is a little bit of everything, truly leveraging what people talk about when they say earn yourself multiple streams of income. But most importantly, just like you, she has a story. Right? How many of us have a story? I absolutely have a story, and my story will probably knock most of your socks off. But the reality is, it doesn't matter where we have been, what we've been through, what we've been under, what we've been around. But what matters is what's straight ahead in front of us. And we have the power to take ourselves out of any situation so that we can live freely, boldly, abundantly in our future. So tonight, I can't wait to jump into it as we talk to Miss LaShon Holliday. As I said, entrepreneur, author, executive producer, and actor. I told you she's got her hands in a bunch of things, and probably is going to talk about some other things going on with her in her life. And we're talking about how you can embrace your pain. Ladies and gentlemen, understand that as you embrace your pain, you are actually opening up the doors for your very own freedom. All right, we have the amazing LaShon. Again, thank you for joining on tonight. We're extremely happy to have you be a part of tonight's podcast. I gave them a very brief introduction, but I can never introduce someone the way that they can. So let's kick things off with you sharing some information about LaShon. Who is LaShon? Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, thank you so much, Shronda, for having me on tonight. I really appreciate it. It's a blessing and an honor. So who am I, right? So again, guys, you know, my name is LaShon Holliday. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an author. So I have my hands, a producer, everything. So I have my hands in a lot of things. They talk about multiple streams of income. You know, sometimes all we know is, you know, our parents used to tell us go to school, get good grades, get that good job, right? That one. But I definitely have my hands in a lot of different things because I love those different streams of income. So I love acting. I love my family. I love, I just love helping people. So that's pretty much who I am, pretty much in a nutshell. And we'll get into me a little bit more later in the show.
Well, I am definitely looking forward to talking all about you and talking about how you got from being the girl from Chicago to look at me coming, right? Because that is the life that all of us inspire to be. And you, my dear, are in fact a reality of this is what you can have. So, you know what? I would first like to talk about the first thing. I've had a ton of entrepreneurs on the show, all of them telling you exactly how you can become an entrepreneur, how you can empower yourself. And so let's start there. I know that one of the things we mentioned is that you're an entrepreneur. How long have you been into entrepreneurship?
Almost 4 years. Almost 4 years.
Okay.
by itself, but I've been like just doing entrepreneur stuff, even while working a 9 to 5 as well. So you kind of train myself to kind of do that 9 to 5, and then also, you know, be an entrepreneur at the same time. So kind of juggling both of those. So maybe like now with being an entrepreneur, maybe about almost 4 years.
Okay. Okay. And so what did you do prior to full-time entrepreneurship?
So that's crazy because I went to school for nursing. So I, of course, had my first child right after high school. So I graduated from high school and I had my first child. So during my pregnancy, I went to school as CNA for CNA.
Mhm.
Got into nursing, went and got my nursing degree. After that, went to school for pharmacy tech. After that, you know, went to school for phlebotomy just to have a lot of different things under my belt.
Mhm.
Um, and literally after I did that, I opened my own shoe store in the meantime. Worked at the Dalton, at Dalton Police, worked at the Dalton Police Station. And just like I say, having your hands in everything, you kind of just network and just move to where God wants you to be. So that's kind of what I did. And after that, I ended up working at an engineer. I worked for my aunt for a period of time, but then after that, I ended up working at an engineering company, which at that point learned a lot of architectural things, locating, which gave me an idea. Like, you know what? I think this is where I want to kind of branch off and really do my own entrepreneurship and just start my own business. But yeah, that's what
Okay.
I did.
And so what was your first business out the gate? What was that transition like for you?
So on it, which was the shoe store, um, and my dad actually helped me with that, but it was hard because you got to kind of get the people out there. And at the time, I had my shoe store, had it for about a year, and after having it for that year, at that time I was acting on a couple of shows in Chicago, and I was in the midst of going through a divorce. So I ended up closing it because I refuse to let anybody take half or part of anything that I worked hard for building. So it was kind of, I mean, it was fun, but it was literally, I had to end up closing it because of the divorce. And a lot of people ask me, would I do it online? Would I open up a boutique online? But it was at that point, it was so many boutiques that you can go to online to buy shoes and, get them
Mhm.
cheap. But I'm the type of person, like, I don't like my shoes to hurt my feet. And any shoe that I will order, I would order what they call. So if anybody's listening that has a shoe store, or that wants to open a shoe store, always order a sample pair, which they'll send you a pair of shoes that you can kind of try on and walk in to see how they feel on your feet before you order them. So I would do that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a blessing. But end up having to close it because I guess that wasn't the path that God had for me to go.
So when you closed the shoe store at that point, were you still full-time entrepreneur? You were still in corporate, figuring out that transition.
I was still in corporate. Um, Closed the shoe store. But even, with that, I even opened up a payment center where I don't know if you remember, Chicago, if for those that's from the west side, they had the payment center on Madison where you go pay your light bill, you get the light bulbs and all that type of stuff. So they closed that. They closed like where you could pay your gas bill. And a lot of
Mhm.
people would go and pay it at the currency. So I opened up a payment center where people can
Okay.
come to me and pay their bills. But again, it's about getting people to know who you are, where you are, and getting our people to support us. So that was the hard part.
So LaShawn, I mean, from talking to you, the payment center, the shoe store, and yet for us to talk about, what has us here, it sounds like you have always been an entrepreneur at heart. And is this because of your upbringing? Were your parents entrepreneurs? Tell me what is driving you to be your own business owner.
So my parents wasn't an entrepreneur. My aunt was actually entrepreneur, and she's well known on the west side. She owns her own wig center. She does a lot on the west side of Chicago. Her name is Cynthia Williams, and she literally like started her business in the family house that we still have in Chicago from
Mm-hmm.
a garage sale. So she started her own non-for-profit where her business started out as a social service agency where she helped pregnant moms, help seniors, moms that has kids under the age of under the age of 5. So just seeing that, and she told us like you always want to have, your own. So just watching
Mm-hmm.
her and build that business, like okay, I can do this too. That's what that's all what I seen. Whether
Okay.
a lot of other of us, kind of caught on to it, but I seen it because I knew I like freedom too much. I always want to go. I always want to travel. I want to go here. I want to go there. So watching her gave me that mindset of wanting to be want to be an entrepreneur.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, that's absolutely amazing. I know that everybody has it a little different, but usually when you're raised around entrepreneurs, people are like,
Hmm.
I didn't see them work. So I definitely was not going to do that. And so kudos to you in all of your progress. So we're here and we are talking about embracing your pain. And I know that there are a lot of components of your life that maybe led to the book, that
Hmm.
happened to the book, happened to develop the book. So let's jump into talking about embrace your pain. So for our audience and for those who are listening, LaShon has a book. It's called Embracing Your Past Pain. We just shorten it, of course, for this show because we're going to just embrace our pain on tonight. And so tonight we're just going to talk to LaShon about number one, her book, number two, her very own testimony and her journey, so that you too can see no matter where you started, you can then take a look into the future because that thing is out there for you. So, LaShon, you've had a shoe store, you've had a payment center, you've walked away from corporate. I'm sure we're missing some stuff in between there. And this book is birthed. Tell us first about where this book came from.
So I've always wanted to write a book based on what happened to me, based on my life, based on the things that I've went through and the things that I've gone through and how God has brought me through certain things. And I always said I was going to write it, but of course we don't really like work, right? It's like, oh, that's too much work. And I always said nothing worth having comes easy. So when I moved to Georgia, um, 4 years ago, I decided I said, you know what? I met this lady and she talked about how I can show you how to write your book in 8 weeks. So I'm like, let me do a consultation with her. So at
Mm.
that point, after I did the consultation with her and she told me how much it was, I was like, cause who? But I end up paying, I end up paying for that course. And at that point, when I joined her course, the boot camp, I ended up writing my book in 5 weeks. So getting the knowledge that she showed me, I wrote my book in 5 weeks because it was so much that, and a lot of people would always, tell me because I went through so much, you need to share your story. You need to write a book. You need to do this. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had to sit back and reflect on, I have a story. I have a testimony. I have, something to share with not only women, but men as well.
Mhm.
Even though my book is called Embracing Your Past Pains, Loving the Woman in the Mirror, Flaws and All, because I tell my kids and, even like young women that I mentor, when you look in that mirror, guess what? You're going to see yourself. So regardless of what your past was, what you've been through, what blemishes, spots, whatever, you have to love that person in the mirror first,
Mhm.
flaws and all. So um, that's what made me like just buckle down and say, you know what, let me write this book so I can share my story and testimony with people.
I have so many questions. Listen, I want to ask questions about all types of stuff, but I want us to
Just
get to the nitty gritty too. But let's first, before we get to the nitty gritty, you said something, and we talk about this a lot. You found someone who offered a course that showed you how to write your book in 5 weeks, and she gave you a dollar amount, and you were like, no, and you did it. Talk to our audience and for the listeners about why you knew that that was important to do.
you know what? Never put a price tag on something that's important. for your success. Never put a price tag. Some people say, oh, that costs too much. Nothing worth having. I always said nothing worth having. No, you can't put a price on it. If this is going to help me, if this is something that I need to get out and to share with other people, you can't put a price tag on it. Would you pay if you knew that if you're trying to start a business and just say you're trying to write a book and you say, okay, I know she can help me. I can go to LaShon. I know she can help me write this book in 5 or 6 weeks. And I know, I want it done by a certain time. And I know once I get it done, edited, published, I know I can start making money, right? So would you put a price tag or would you put a hold on it of you writing this book or coming to me, taking my course or me showing you how to write this book in 5 weeks? So yeah, some people you have to kind of, checks and balances. Is it worth it for you? Is it something worth having? So yeah.
Okay, well, that is absolutely awesome. Let's get to it. Let's talk about how we are embracing our past pain, flaws and all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. So tell me, you've talked about your testimony, and obviously you're not going to tell it all because you want people to grab the book. But tell us, what do we learn? What are some things that you go through or that you experienced in life?
So I'll touch on a really it's kind of it's still being 47. It's still a sensitive topic, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it. A lot of people don't like to deal with it, but it's something that we need to deal with. So in my book I talked about, and again, my family didn't know this part of the in my book what happened to me until the launch of my book a year and a half ago. So when they found out, they was like, what? Why didn't you say anything? So I talk about being molested at age 11 and never told anyone in my family. I had this one lady, an older lady that I talked to, and I really even never told her. I just asked her questions about how do you deal with it and what do you do? Or, I have a friend that asked this, I had a friend that asked that. So I talked about being molested in the book and how in the beginning, how, women, even some men that's molested at an early age, we were taught what goes on in these 4 walls, stay in these 4 walls, you know, and you better not say nothing. Yeah, we were taught if somebody does something to you to tell, but back then, coming up in the era that we came up in, as being a kid, if someone tells you, you better not say nothing, or this is going to happen, or you better not say nothing because they're not going to believe you. So of course I never said anything. And then at that point, it's like, okay, being young, I became promiscuous at an early age because it's like, okay, maybe that should be this way. Maybe that shouldn't be that way. Okay, it felt this kind of way. So I end up getting pregnant at 14, end up, having an abortion. My mom was like, no, you're going to have an abortion. We're not doing this. And to this day, I still calculate, okay, my baby will be this age. I want it to be a boy or girl. So I talk about all of that. And a lot of us that have gone through molestation, again, whether it be a man or a woman, we hold that so much in. We just hold it in that we don't let it out. We tend to kind of get this bitterness and this anger. And it's like, how do you deal with it? And we take that frustration or that hurt that, that person has done to us into our next friendship, marriage, relationship, sistership, it doesn't matter. But you have to embrace that pain and let it go. But you first have to forgive that person that did it to you. Not saying that it's okay, but you have to forgive that person for you to move on. So that's just part of, just a little bit of the, what I talk about in my book of how to embrace your pain. And once you embrace that, I promise you, it's a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game. It hurts, but use that as stepping stones for God to take you to the next level.
So, LaShon, do you believe that prior to you opening up, accepting your pain, that there were parts of you that weren't healed or that were held back from your future because you were holding on to it?
I think so, because I mean, who knows? It could have been, guys saying, okay, well, maybe like one of my husbands, that probably one of my boyfriends, that probably wouldn't have been the guy that God had for me, you know. So, and not taking me, being able to go in the direction that God has led me to go. So, if I think when that happened, it's more so like, okay, go this way, because I'm choosing these paths that I think is right. You know what I'm saying? So if I
Mhm.
think these paths are right, because what has happened to me, not knowing that, that's not right. And then when I finally said, you know what, it's something, it's like, Lord, like it's something. Because you study, think about it. And again, you go through these phases of thinking, men will tell you anything to get what they want. So thinking that, like, okay, well, he said you pretty. He said this. And of course, you figure if you were molested, like, you get low self-esteem to the point of like, okay, am I pretty, or why did this happen to me, or am I not shaped right, or so you figure any guy that comes along, pretty much you'll believe what they say.
Mhm.
And if you haven't learned to let that go, it's it's hard. And once I embraced it and I put that in the past, it was a whole different ball game.
So, LaShawn, what does embrace my pain mean? If I was having a conversation with you and I said, you're telling me to embrace my pain, how do I do that? What does that mean?
Hmm. So embracing your pain would be you acknowledging, one, what what hurt you're going through. It doesn't have to be molestation. It could be just you're hurt from, your mother, your father, your aunt, your sister, your brother, or a friend, or a spouse or boyfriend. It can be something that you're hurting from, that you just holding on to, and you just don't know how to let it go. And when I say embrace it, I mean, think about it, let it go. It's like almost like, how they tell you to put stuff in the fire, burn it, don't look back. So when you embrace your past pains, or when you embrace your pain, you're actually embracing what has happened to you, or what pain have had that you have had, or what caused you that pain. And you're not like letting it, how can I, you're not letting it let you sit in quicksand like you're sinking. Because it's like, oh, okay, I had this pain, but you study, bring it up, study comes up, and when it comes up, you beat yourself over the head over it, instead of saying, you know what, I dealt with that. Just like, I guess if you when you get saved, you look at like the enemy, in a sense, like, okay, yeah, that happened to me, but God saved me from this. Or yeah, I used to be a drunk, but God saved me from that. So I've embraced me used to being a drunk. Well, I've embraced me used to being, a crackhead or a prostitute. I've embraced that. So guess what? You calling me that, or you throwing that up in my face, it's not going to hurt me, because I've embraced what has hurt me.
And so, in your book, do you cover or do you talk about tools and tricks that people can do to embrace their pain or find their freedom? Or does the book just watch you explore and come to self realization of your own journey?
So the book talks about different steps that you can take um to embrace your pain, like as far as even, speaking to, like, going to like a psychiatrist, or speaking with um a friend, or speaking with someone that you trust, actually, kind of don't hold it in, like, speak to someone about it. You know what I'm saying? You definitely have to sit up and recognize and take that visual of, oh, I know this has happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I tell people in the book, don't be afraid to go see a shrink, as we call it. It's not that, because you can talk to your friend and just lay everything out to your friend. Is your friend a shrink? You know, but just because that doctor has that title as being a psychiatrist, now people want to call you crazy. Like, oh, she crazy, she going to a psychiatrist. But it doesn't necessarily mean that. I talk about going to, have your self time, have your me time. You got to have that time for yourself. We do so much that for everybody else. Where's that time for you? You have to have that.
Absolutely.
And that's part of embracing stuff, because you can sit back and reflect and relax. Sometimes when I was writing my book, I turn my phone, or I leave it on, but I turn it on like do not disturb, or I turn it on airplane mode or whatever, just
Mm-hmm.
because I said, okay, you know what? This hour and a half is just my hour and a half for my book. I don't want to be disturbed. And you can do the same thing with you. You can, go in the room, turn the lights out, watch a movie, or just pick up a book, read, or grab a notebook, say, you know what? Let me just start jotting down things.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever
Mm-hmm.
comes to you, because it's a lot that we think about and a lot that goes through our mind that, you won't realize like that. Because I know I sit up sometimes, I could wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, and I keep a notepad by my bed, and I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I thought of something. And I'm like, oh, let me write this down. Because I know in the morning, I'm going to forget. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Right.
Out of sight, out of mind. And I tell people in my book, I put sticky notes all around. Put sticky notes, affirmations. Every morning I post on my Facebook page, good morning, everyone. I'm expecting nothing but great and awesome things to happen to me today. Every
Mm-hmm.
morning. For the past, I want to say almost 3 years, I've been doing that. And so you study speaking life
Mm-hmm.
over
Speaking life
yourself.
of yourself. Yep.
Yes. So I talk about that in the book as well.
That's absolutely awesome. As you were talking, I was just writing down a couple things. So before I start with the next question, I want to say this. Let's reword that name. It is not a shrink, right? They do not
Hello.
shrink you. They absolutely enhance you. They are psychologists, they
Yes.
are psychiatrists, they are counselors, and they are there to help you lift that
Mm-hmm.
heavy load. And so you were shrunken, and after you talk to them, you feel like a giant, right? You don't have to be crazy to see one of them. I just told a close friend of mine, we were having a conversation, and I said to her that there should be some sort of mandate that even if nothing is going wrong in your life, every 3 years you should go and sit, at least every 3 years you should go sit down and just have that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
because it makes a healthy you, right? You can't be a good mom. We may think we are, but if this is not healthy, how are you
Yes.
then what you need to be? But this is not about me. I just wanted to make sure I said that. Like, let's rename them.
Yes.
They
I
don't shrink
promise
you.
you.
They
Yes.
absolutely enhance you. And so as we're talking, I'm number one, kudos to you for, all that you have done. Kudos to you for, taking that step back and recognizing where you were and having the courage, right? The courage to be able to talk about that out loud publicly for the world to hear, for the world to see, for the world to read about. Um, so great job with that. So
Thank
you
you so
you
much.
tell us about some steps that you can take in order to get there. Are there some things that tonight you want to share with? Looks like we have ladies and gentlemen tuning in, and then later the podcast checking out. Are there some things that you would want to leave? Maybe 3 quick tips that you would tell someone to start to do to embrace their pain.
3 things I would say is, one, trust the process. I had brain surgery, and I literally had to trust the process of being going through that, going through my past of what I went through. You have to trust the process, because if you don't trust the process, guess what? It's not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
And two, just great. But then two, um, I would say definitely, if you don't want to go see someone, start writing down what's hurting you, or write down what's bothering you. Write down what you think is hindering you from your growth. Put it on paper. you know because when it's on paper, it's like a vision. You're writing a vision out of what you need to do. And then
Mm-hmm.
also, I would say, stay around positive people. Stay from around negative people. I always say to my kids, know your worth. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to hang with the millionaires. If you want to, start your own company, hang around people that have their own company, that's successful, that's still around. Just don't let your life go, you know, fall to the wayside to the point where it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna work this 9 to 5. I'm gonna go home, just relax. Then on Saturdays, the weekend come, I'm about to, go kick it and party. It should be the weekend every day for you. It shouldn't just be, on the weekend. It should be the weekend every day. But definitely, um, write down just start to write down everything. It could be something that sit back when you reflect on it. Trust me, it's so much that'll come from your past when you have that space and that quietness and that time to yourself, that you would be surprised what will come to your mind. The things that happened to you or something that, triggered anything. So just start writing it down.
That's interesting. You said that earlier today. It was a quiet moment for me. And I thought about something, or someone said something, and it kind of triggered a thought from my past. And before I know what I was thinking about, remember the time when, remember the time. And I let myself have it for a few minutes. And then I was like, all right, I don't know how long you think we going down that lane, but we're going to move on with our lives. But the reality is that seeing those things can make you a better person, because it helps you to understand some of the decisions and actions that you make even today from something that happened years and years ago. So, LaShon, I know I've told them that you're an entrepreneur. In fact, you're a serial entrepreneur. We have the book. Tell us about some other great successes going on in your life. What else do you do?
Oh my God. So look, I'm a travelpreneur, you guys. Let's go back. I love films. I love movies. I was on a Empire's receptionist for 4 years before I moved to the Georgia. Um, in the movie Widows with Viola Davis. So I did Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD, like all of those. The Shy. It's just so much like with the film industry that
Wow.
I've done. Executive producer of an independent film called Catfish Fillets. We did part 1 and part 2. Did that, and then also I write film as well. So I actually have one now that I've written, but due to COVID, like didn't start filming because of all of that. So we're actually going to probably put that into play once this other project that we're working on kind of just launches and goes off. Like I said, I love traveling. I was part of like Secrets, which is like just amazing company where we have the best like travel deals and all that. But like I said, I love traveling. Also, what else do I do? Just actually Saturday, it's like you look at so much. So Saturday, my husband and I are launching our construction and locating company here in Georgia. So that's part of like the big launch that we're doing here, leaving Chicago and coming down here launching our construction company.
That's absolutely dynamic. Congratulations to you, Queen. And for
Thank you
those
so
who are
much.
watching, when you see me glancing, so to this side, I'm writing, and to this side, I'm kind of looking at the live to see who's watching with us. But for those of you who are watching, or for those of you who are going to be listening in a little bit later today on the podcast or even on the replay,
Thank you.
LaShon opened up and she said that I am from, the west side of Chicago. And that doesn't mean that successful people and successful things don't come out of the west side of Chicago. She's wrote an entire book about her pain. She's told you she's from the west side of Chicago, but the lady just told you she's been on film sets. She's writing films. She's executive producing films. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's an author. And so I hope that with listening to this tonight, you know that no matter who you are, where you are, what you've been through, you can absolutely have the same exact thing. Listen, LaShon, I know that I am eager to check out your book, of course, be able to support you. So let's talk about how individuals can reach out and tap into the amazing Miss LaShon Holliday.
So to purchase, if you guys would like to purchase a book, you can actually go to my website, which is www.LaShonHoliday, and it's LASHON like on the screen, HOLL with 2 L's. I know some people say holidays with 1, but mine is with 2. IDAY.com. And then my social media is LaShon Holliday on Facebook. And then on Instagram, I believe it's Miss Holliday MZ, the author.
Okay, awesome. So you talked about your book from the perspective of the questions that I asked you. I know you've been on tons of book signings and all of those things. Is there something that you want to leave with the audience that you want to talk about in relation to your book that we haven't talked about tonight?
In relation to my book, there's actually there's a chapter here that says, I think I mentioned it earlier. It actually talks about keeping the faith and, trusting the process, and establishing your goals. So literally, and do the work, because sometimes we, figure, oh, okay, well, I did it, so now what? Just because I wrote my book doesn't mean that's going to sell itself. You have to do the work. You have to go out there. You have to network. You have to get around people. You have to do different things to kind of get yourself out there. And literally, I talked about make your goals smart. Set your goals and make them smart.
What are
And
SMART goals?
when you talk about your SMART goals, you literally would talk about I always say, let me see, I put on there, when I talk about your SMART goals, is how do you make the goals you set for yourself realistic and attainable? So a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I got my goal set. I know this year I'm going to make me $1 million, but you ain't made 50,000 this year, so, or I'm going to buy me a Bentley, or I'm going to get this type of house. Sometimes we have to start off with small things, and your goals is like, I'm going here, but let me check them off. If you had 1,000 things on your list, I'd rather you have 1,000 little things and start checking them off, and that way you can see your goals, versus having this big goal up there that you might fail at. Now that you didn't meet that goal, now you feel bad because now you figure that you failed yourself and you didn't get that accomplished. But if you start writing down small goals, like just write one by one by one, write down 100 goals, start checking them off. And then guess what? You're going to see the progress you've made versus making, this one big like goal. And you're like, dang, I failed myself. Because once you think you failed yourself, you're like, I'm not doing that again. So make them smart, make them attainable, make it something that you can accomplish. Say, okay, well, this month I want to save $100. And you can easily save $100 by paying your bills on time and to keep that late fee that they charge us every month if you paying your bills late. Like, okay, I just say, So that's how I look at it. So just make them smart and attainable. That's what SMART goals is to me.
That's awesome. So do you take a journey down breaking down SMART goals in your book, or do you give us an example of what were some of your own SMART goals?
I talk about that in the chapter of SMART goals, making your goals smart.
Okay, absolutely. Like, the more we're talking, you're giving people something to look towards. Don't know how to start setting a goal. We're talking about embracing your pain and helping you set goals to get to where you want to go. We're doing absolutely amazing on time here. And with that being said, we've talked about the book. We've talked about some of your successes. I want to talk about a couple of things with you, LaShon. You said earlier on when we first got started that you found someone who basically offered a course to you on getting your book started. So for the individuals out there that has a book in them, or they're being told you should write a book and they have no clue where to start, what would you say to them?
What I would say to them is, a lot of people think when you're writing a book, you have to write your book. I would say get a piece of paper, right? Just get a piece of paper, divide it in fours. Pick 4 topics that whatever you want to write your book on, and write that in each part of each 4 squares. And then from there, think of different things that you could talk about under that one topic, right? Under this topic, I could talk about saving money. I could talk about how much should I save. I could talk about IRA accounts. I could talk about should I invest in it. I could talk about should I use a bank under that topic. This one, you might say, okay, this topic is on low self-esteem. I can put, okay, low self-esteem. Let me see. I was molested. So that gave me low self-esteem. I see other people and that makes me think, am I better than them? I look at what my, the next person have, so just write down under whatever topic you think about under each four of those spots, just you can actually write subtopics under those. So for
Mm-hmm.
those of you that want to write your book, and then also I'm giving this away, even though I have a course that make people pay for, but I'm gonna give it to
But give
y'all
them a
now.
little value, so then you tell them where
just
to come find the rest of it, right?
just record. I'm gonna just say record it. Don't write down don't write it down. Record it because we get writer's block. And when you get writer's block, you just start to write, and then you keep going repetition and just to make the pages longer. And one thing about a book, it's not the size of your book, it's the content that's in your book.
That's good. That's good. So you've just dropped another nugget on us. So you're offering a course on how to write a book. And is that something you've already launched, or is that a future endeavor?
So I kind of do it. I get a couple of people that call me about, hey, I want to write a book. I want to do this. I've kind of started, but this is where I'm at. And I said, well, I do a course, online or Zoom course with people. We do like 2 hours, and then I let them know what my fee is. But actually, I want, and again, there's so much money out here that can be made. I don't have to have a product for, I'm going to charge you $1,000 so you had to write your book, or I'm going to charge you $2,000. No. So what I do is, okay, my course is for 2 hours. In a matter of 2 hours, I can show you from beginning to end how to write your book and how to finish your book
Okay.
within 5 weeks. So, and that course is $250 for that course, for that consultation. When we do our consultation on that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So you first sought out somebody and now you started your own. You said it. It is so much money to be made out here. That is absolutely amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
so when individuals go to your website, that's LaShon Holliday with 2Ls.com, do
Mm-hmm.
they only find your book, or do they find ways that they can reach you so that they can get in contact about getting their book started?
Um, they'll find the book, but then there's a section on there that they can find, leave their information to subscribe. So once they subscribe to the website, their information will be on there, and I'll have their information. Or they can also, reach out to me for course wise on Facebook under LaShon Holliday.
Okay, that is absolutely amazing. I have had a ton of authors on the podcast or the
Mm-hmm.
series thus far, and everybody's book has been about something different, and their road to that book has been different as well.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some challenges that, as being a new author, you face that individuals shouldn't be afraid of, but they probably should expect?
The challenges will be actually getting out there, and reaching out to other authors that might be on that third, fourth book, and they might figure, well, they've been out for a while, and I'm just launching my book. So trust me, you're gonna get that feeling. You're gonna be afraid, but that's being afraid is with anything. I ain't gonna say being afraid. I call it nervousness.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, so being nervous of doing something, it's fine, but take that leap and go out there, do your pop-ups, put your book out there, post on Instagram. And I'm actually starting to do digital products. When you get your book, when you write your book, do digital products. That's another stream of income, which with my book, when I do my digital products, once everything is launched with that, it's not going to be that much at all. And think about it. If I say, okay, hey guys, I'm doing a digital launch. You guys can get this chapter for, the first 6 chapter for $20 along with a workbook. If I had 100 people do that, so just again, guys, don't authors just get yourself. It's all about branding.
Okay. Okay. You've definitely dropped some nuggets and some jewels on us tonight. Again, I want to say to you, Congratulations, and extremely, extremely excited and grateful to have you on our show tonight. I believe you brought great value, and I hope that you've been able to inspire some of our listeners. Listen, we have come to the end of our show. I'm going to pull you back into the studio, hang out there so we can connect just a little bit as I go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you so very much. And I hope and know that they're definitely leaving a whole bunch of comments. Somebody said, look at Mariah. I love you, Mom. Good job. How you hang out in the studio. I'm going to wrap up and let's touch base in just a moment. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. All right. There you have it, guys. The Miss Amazing LaShon Holliday, who has told you how you can really be and live in your future self by first taking a look at who you were in the past, embracing that so you can break through to where you would like to go. Chicago's West Side. I'm going to keep saying it because people throw shade. Yes, I am from the West Side of Chicago as well. Chicago's West Side, who is doing some phenomenal things. Construction company, author, serial entrepreneur. I am saying all of that to you to say you can be absolutely anybody you want to be. And the one thing that separates you from that is you, right? As we've been talking, we're on episode 5. So we're halfway through the season. Time is absolutely flying. It is insane. But I hope that you guys are paying attention to the reoccurring things that we're hearing. The reoccurring things you're hearing over and over and over to be successful in life, period. You have to network, right? Don't continue to surround yourself with the same exact things and look for different results. Seek some counseling. They're your best friends. Trust me. I am statements and confidence. I promise you that showed up in every single podcast that I've done so far. If you haven't had the chance to catch the other 4 episodes of the season or even season 1 of Empowered with Shronda, I am available. You can find every single episode of Empowered with Shronda on the Droppin Knowledge Network on YouTube, right? Be sure to go and like Droppin Knowledge Network here on Facebook to stay in tune and stay in touch. We are sharing empowering information, life-changing information, information that can give you the capabilities to go out and do it. We're talking to entrepreneurs who are telling you tricks and tips, things that they're experiencing. And guess what? You, my friend, are absolutely no different from them. You're no different from me. If you're here, you are in an amazing place. See the information, and what's most important is execute on the information. Go out, make sure you grab LaShawn's Holliday's book. I imagine that it is absolutely amazing. You can find that on LaShawnHolliday.com. And I am more than privileged to be here. That is a wrap for our show today. You already know what it is. If you're looking for me, you can, of course, find me on Facebook, Shronda McDaniel. There is no A between that H and that R. Shronda, right? You can go ahead and like us on the Droppin Knowledge Network. Find all past episodes on YouTube at Droppin Knowledge Network. And then look forward to a bunch of other new amazing things coming in the future where I will be sharing on Empowered with Shronda. You guys are in an absolute amazing place. Most importantly, what I want you to do is this: stay safe, stay blessed, make sure you take care of yourself, and I will see you again next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m.